that's just something that I have kind of in the back of my mind. Like, what is Boston going to do against Steph in the pick and roll? If it comes to the point, they got to do something they haven't done all year, and that's blitz. It is interesting, though, how, like, Steve Kerr, I don't know, what was it, a month ago? He says, oh, yeah, people wanted me to not run as much pick and roll. Meanwhile, they're running over 30 pick and rolls for Steph Curry per game, and it's like their most effective way of generating points in the half court. I mean, that's a pretty good amount, and we've seen them do that like crazy to the Celtics. And I mean, the 32.5 per game pick and rolls against Boston through 2 games, averaging 1.2 points per pick and roll, which is an absurdly high amount. What do you think the Celtics? I mean, they're dropping on pick and rolls, giving him space for that pull-up 3. That's not working. They're coming out a little higher. That's not working. If you switch, you're forcing more isolations. That's not working. Do you think the Celtics need to be a little more aggressive in the pick and roll? You know, try to blitz them like we saw Dallas try to do last round? Is that something that Boston should do in the half court?
I think there's certainly some – I think there's very good reason to do that and just do the get the ball out of his hands. And I think it is that way because I'd rather live with the other, right? If Klay Thompson was cracking, you know, I'd be a little more worried. But Klay's even missing uncontested shots in this. They kept him in there, even though they had the Celtics buried. They kept him in there just to try to have him see something go through the net. And so until the other guys I feel like are demolishing me, or if I'm giving up too many easy buckets off Draymond playing 3-on-2, then so be it. But at this point with Curry, I would be concerned that I'm letting him get too many good looks. But in fairness, I read this yesterday, he's making more contested shots than he is uncontested shots. So it is what it is with him. If a guy's willing to pull it from 40 feet away, so be it. I mean, you at some point, you just got to live with it. He shot 6 for 11 on contested shots. He shot 3 of 10 on uncontested shots, which is crazy to think about. He's 6 of 11 when he's contested. So I don't know if there are all that many, you know, I don't know what to do about that. If he's going to make 6 for 11 and contest it more. And the other thing is he's not getting his shots assisted in a massive way, right? They just got the ball in his hands. And when you were talking about how they were, you know, running a little bit different offense in part than they have in the past, well, that's because they just got to get the ball in that guy's hands. And then you just let him do everything, plays off of him, everything. And you know the gravity he has on the entire team, but he's not running around screens, catching the ball and making shots. He's got the ball right when they come up the court. And so I would try to get the ball out of his hands. It's a long-winded way of saying, yeah, I try to get the ball out of his hands as much as I possibly can. What do you do?
I don't know. I mean, it's a tough situation here because, like, no matter what you do, the Warriors can get something out of it. Statistically, they've been at their best when they are blitzed. Like when Steph is blitzed in the pick and roll, they put up higher numbers in the postseason than when they switch against him or drop coverage. And granted, there's different levels of drop coverage. I just think with Steph, if you're the Celtics, if drop continues to be ineffective, even with the high drop where it's nearly a show, and if switching isn't working, which I still think they should do more of that, just to do more of it, just to see how it works before they go to a blitz. If that doesn't work, then Boston would have to do something they haven't done all season. Boston is one of the least frequent blitzing teams in the pick and roll in the entire league. I believe on Second Spectrum, they were the third lowest with the amount of blitzes they ran throughout the entire season. So that's something they don't do. Is it something they've been saving? because they've been really, really good when they do it in a limited amount of times, like close to best in the entire NBA statistically. So, I mean, that's just something that I have kind of in the back of my mind. Like, what is Boston going to do against Steph in the pick and roll if it comes to the point they got to do something they haven't done all year, and that's blitz.
Yeah, earlier I was talking about how he's not getting them running around everywhere, then catching and shooting. Only 2 of his shots were assisted. 2 buckets were assisted the entire game. Now, the other thing is, maybe it's not as grand a concern if you could clean up the turnovers and those guys can make some damn shots for Boston, because Curry had 29 in the game. Now, he did not play in the fourth quarter, but 14 of those that Curry scored were off Boston turnovers. So you can do all this is how we want to guard Steph Curry. That's when it all falls apart. The first trick is don't turn the ball over so we're not scrambling around in open space against this guy. That's when he is a killer. That's when he's killing us. He had half his points off of their turnovers. So trick number 1 is don't turn the ball over so he can't get out in space so we can actually decide what we want to do, show, blitz, whatever it may be, because that's where he is damaging us. That's when he's getting out into open space, and there is no defense for that. Come on. When he's just flying up the court off a turnover, he's got whoever is closest to him guarding him, and half the time he's just pulling up from wherever. And you know this guy. You see some of those shots he took, and you're like, Jesus. Anybody else took those outside of, I guess, Jordan Poole. No coach would play them for the next 3 games. I mean, they're just outrageous shots. I just tip my cap, honestly. I don't sit there and go, geez, guys, what can we do? I say, hey, how about we don't let this guy get into open space nearly as much, so we stop turning the ball over. I don't know. I feel like Golden State, and this is a veteran-laden team who's, the major parts have been to 5 finals. I feel like they are a back against the wall, crank it up to 10 when they have to team. And that was one of those games. I don't know if they are killer instinct, we're going to bury you type of team, right? There's a reason why Boston is a 3.5 or 4-point favorite, whatever it is, in the next game. Because I do think that this is going to go, these teams are both good. They're going to make adjustments. And I think it's probably going to go back and forth for a little while. And Boston will have it, feel like it really needs to get a win. It'll be the first time in a home crowd in the finals game. And I'd imagine they'll be jacked up. Their role players will play well, probably get game 3. And then the Warriors will feel like, hey, backs against the wall. We've got to get this done. And we'll probably get some epic game 4. And might be the first really good game in the series. That's what I'd guess. But I don't know. Despite both these games being double-digit margins, I feel like it's been pretty fun to watch.